Hi guys, welcome back to the Founders Disco. I'm your host Shuj, and we're here with David Williams today. He's the founder of Power of One Fitness, based in the UK. David offers in-person and online health and fitness services. David, if you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do and Power of One.
Sure, thanks, Rich. So, yeah, started Power of One Fitness in 2015 after being a teacher for 16 years, PE teacher. So, not a great leap, but got burnt out teaching and wanted to do things on my own terms. So, what better way of doing that than being a personal trainer? I started off with the aim of helping people across all disciplines be healthier, stronger, leaner, fitter, but over time that sort of morphed into helping people say, what's your niche? And while I don't particularly have a set niche, I love working probably two distinct groups. I'll work with anybody as long as they're keen, but two distinct groups, and the first one always gets a chuckle because I say grumpy middle-aged professionals. I know them, 50 plus years old. I figure that, I understand that life gets in the way and that working out, setting an hour aside to come to the gym and work out might be a little bit difficult. So they're the first distinct group I love working with. Life can get in the way of those, family and all that sort of stuff, work. But the second group I also love working with are athletes. When I say athletes, it could be your social rugby player. It could be your high-end hockey player. I've worked with county cricketers. I've worked with various premier hockey players and stuff like that. So I love working with different people because it keeps the variety going. So that was a bit waffly, but hopefully that was the gist of it.
Amazing. Oh, that's cool. I totally get where you're coming from. Those are two very common, I guess, groups of people realize pretty quickly that they need help. Because when you're sort of, you said that middle-aged professional, most things in life you've sort of got a handle on, and you're starting to realize that your body needs a bit of attention now. Um, and typically they've got some finance to support, you know, everything that goes around it, the gym, the food, all of the little things that, yeah.
Sure.
And then, I'm in the second category, man. I play baseball at a high level locally,
Uh-huh.
which to say I wouldn't even have made it to college in my prime, right? But I have a lot of fun and I play as hard as I can. Uh,
Yeah,
and in my
absolutely.
30s, I'm starting to realize that we're a little fragile, you know?
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the strength training I've done in my life has helped me stay healthy. While a lot of people my age are doing hamstrings and calves and shoulders, for whatever reason, I'm lucky enough to still be hanging in there, you know? Um,
Well,
cool.
that's awesome. Long may
And
that continue.
when did this? Sorry, say again.
I said, long may that continue. You enjoying
Yeah,
playing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. Like my wife got me into it, and now it's one of those things that where we can just have, a couple of hours of being on the same team, and it's not parenting.
I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So with the training and that transition from teacher um to coach, even though PE, I guess there was a bit of familiarity there, but when did the idea start kicking around and what made it important enough to make that commitment?
So, I had a long time of coached sport. I was coaching sport before I became a teacher, coaching American football and other sports before I became a teacher. Then went into teaching, formalised it, and continued to coach a range of sports to quite a high level. So the American football dropped off, but rugby came in, cricket, athletics, other things came in, and I just love imparting knowledge and helping people be better. That's sort of in the DNA, I guess, of what I do and how I am. So whether it was E-team rugby or A-team cricket, doesn't matter. You know, if I'm helping people enjoy what they're doing and be better because they're enjoying it. So that's why I loved your comment about, you know, I love doing it and I want to continue doing it because I'm enjoying it. So that's the key to anything, whether it's in here or whether it's a sport. If you're enjoying it, you're going to continue. And I've got examples coming out after all those years of teaching, but one of my favourite is there was an under 10 D team rugby player. Just loved it, carried on playing because he loved it, because he was playing at the right level for him, at that D team level, and that was really important. But we had those different levels of participation, and then he became captain of the local Maidenhead team, so at Colts level. So that's pretty cool. So it's because he's carried on, because he's enjoyed it, and then he's made progress. So that to me is awesome. So in answer to your question,
amazing.
When did the process start in my brain? It's always been in my brain to help people be better. When did it start? When this, as opposed to teaching? Well, probably around about 2012. I broke my jaw playing rugby, and so I had to give up competitive sport. So then I was like, okay, what else can I do? I discovered I'd already been going to the gym a lot, but I discovered I love, you know, doing new things in the gym rather than just specific training for a sport, and loved investigating that. And also tied in with the teaching, I discovered a book that just completely sort of changed my life. It's a book by a Harvard professor called John Ratey, and the book was called Spark, and that showed how physical exercise has a massive impact on the brain. No matter what you're doing, no matter what age you are, science shows that if you're moving and you're doing exercise, your brain will benefit. And he described it, exercise as miracle grow for the brain, and that just set off lights flashing in my head, and I was like, this is awesome. And so, having been head of department of a sport and PE department at school for 13 years, feeling the strain and stress of that, anybody who's been a teacher will understand, I said, okay, I've had enough of doing this, let's do something different, but not completely different, but where I'm in charge and where I'm not being dictated to by timetables, by management and everything else. So yeah, it's solidified around about 2014, where I handed in my notice and signed up to get my license to be a personal trainer. So the ethos is still the same. I can still do things, but yeah, qualified in 2015 and have been doing this since 2015 in a variety of things and getting more and more qualified. So I'm now level 4 strength and conditioning coach, as well as the personal training, and I've got older adults qualifications as well, and a whole range of different qualifications. So but generally people don't worry about your qualifications, they worry about you. Do you chime with them as a coach? So that's the important thing, and that's being human. I think is important. So that was a bit waffly again.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
going to waffle in, but
No, it's cool, man. I like it. Yeah, they say like, you know, that's the thing. You can always tell someone who's been to school and not done against someone who may not have gone to school but has been doing, right?
yeah,
Um, it's no different with someone like my favorite two people to go get my hair done. Are they the most qualified hairdressers in the world? No, but they connect. They can turn whatever garbage comes out of my mouth, they can turn that into something practical and make me look decent, you know? Like, and we have a
that's
good chat
important.
along the way. Like, and
Absolutely,
and
and
that's
that's
the
it.
thing. I
You've
think
been
sometimes, you know,
going to say
happens
exactly
to
that. It's
me
just
quite often where people come in. I'm sure you see it as well, and they have these ideas in their head, but what they sort of think they need versus what they actually need can be quite different. And
Yeah.
part of our job in those moments is to navigate and communicate and find the best balance of like setting their expectations and actually providing what they need, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Because, dealing with the world I'm in and the world of health and fitness, it drives me berserk sometimes because it's full of hacks and full of get quick things, but nothing can beat consistency, nothing can beat small steps, things done daily or done regularly. There's no quick hacks, and it's full of charlatans, my world, um, who are
yeah.
thriving off people's, because people don't know. They don't, you don't know what you don't know, right? So um, generally people think they've got to be healthier. They've got to be healthier, but I don't know how to get there. But that quick way sounds better than this long hard way. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's where I come in and try and put
And
some realism on it. Um,
understanding the definition of what's healthier, right? Sometimes
yeah,
someone doesn't actually know what that means for them, or some of the markers that would make a person unhealthy as well. Like
yep,
there are, I'm a classic example. My goals in life physically are to be able to carry my kids for as long as they'll let me. Play baseball for as long as I possibly can. Down here, there's like 80-year-olds still playing, and I want to be that guy at some point. And never do 2 trips to take my groceries. If I can accomplish those 3 things, I'm actually very happy. But like you said, you can't trick your way into things like that, right? You just have to do something good today, something good tomorrow, something good the day after, and 30, 40 years from now, you'll see the
yeah,
benefits of that,
absolutely.
right? And it's the same in work, I'm sure, as well. The back end that you don't talk about so much in terms of the networking, the getting to know people, to understand people before you've even directed them through an exercise, right? Those steps make such a big difference in the relationship that you cultivate and ultimately end up with a much more long-term client, right?
Absolutely. And it's people come with this with the goal of I want to be healthy. Well, what, as you just said, what does that mean? What does that mean for you? And or I want to lose X number of pounds or kilos. Again, what will that mean for you? What if you lose those? Is that it? What do you do then? So it's like, okay, so what will that mean for you? It'll mean being faster between the bases. It will mean, being able to carry that shopping or carry your kids. Other people, it might be, the goal is to be able to get up out of a sofa when they're 80, without using their hands, and that kind of thing. And those are all, everyone's different, but everyone has this big amorphous, I want to be healthy. But everyone, that means different things to everybody else. Everybody. So for me,
Yeah.
personally, I'm similar to you. I just want to, I want to live. And that might sound strange, but we have our lifespan is expanding thanks to modern medicine, but a lot of that is spent in decrepitude, and I'd rather not be in decrepitude. I'd rather be having a nice, healthy old age. So it is important
Mm.
that, and that's the message I'm trying to get across. To I'm constantly shouting about we can live long, but I'd rather live long. If that makes sense, rather than
1000%. My grandma passed away at the age of 87 recently this year, a few months ago. And probably up until the last week of her life, right? She had an accident. She was walking every day. She had an active social life. Um, Sharp as a nail, you know. Um, Memory was there, took care of her own finances and affairs and banking, shopping, all of these things. And I think a lot, and compared to some other family members who passed away younger or even at a similar age, where the last maybe 5 years of their lives was, the quality of that life was nowhere near as, like you said, living,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'm sorry to
And
hear about your grandmother, but yeah, she
uh,
was, as you
thank
say,
you. Yeah,
living up until that accident, and
yeah.
that's brilliant because she was moving, and she had a community around
Mm,
her, and she, as you say, that movement enabled her brain to be sharp as a tack. So
yeah,
that's brilliant.
absolutely. And that's the thing. And we largely, like me personally anyway, I attribute the difference, right, in what how she lived, especially in older age. Because if you ask anyone who knew her growing up and stuff, super active, she was a dancer. People would literally say things like, "Oh, she's on her walk because you can hear the music." Because she had a very distinct walk, and the way she moved her arms was like it was like she was dancing down the street kind of thing, right? But people distinctly remember that walk every single day, you know? Um, and it was very disciplined. She was a very disciplined lady in a lot of aspects like that. But even when she couldn't walk on the street anymore in Sri Lanka, finding a smooth road is impossible. Like, she'd take the elevator to a rooftop and literally walk around the pool like
Hmm.
20 times, you know? And, didn't just say, oh, well, you know, I might twist an ankle if I go down the street. She found another avenue to
That's awesome.
maintain,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, but like, yeah, these are the things you sort of, I guess, don't people don't often think about, right? Because in the moment you're just caught up in your own whatever's going on today, tomorrow.
yeah,
And
and
then
we
you jump on YouTube and some guys like, oh, you can have abs in like 3 days, bro. Just, you know, don't eat and sweat a lot and don't drink water and you know, like you're not gonna feel great, but you've got abs showing, like
I can do it quicker than that. Just get a paintbrush and sort of paint them on. So
that's
it's not
it.
exactly healthy, but
That's what I mean, right? Like, but that's the image that health has sometimes in some people's heads is like, if I don't have a washboard, I'm unfit. But like, are you really? Um, I'm pretty sure physically we're supposed to have a layer of fat protecting our organs. I'm pretty sure that's like an actual function that our body created. So,
yeah, it's not too big.
yeah, yeah. Um, cool. What's been the most frustrating part of getting this, you know, off the ground from the transition, and across the last 10 years?
I never, well, frustrating from a marketing point of view, I guess. Never had a problem getting clients in here. The online side of things, yes, because there's everyone, especially since the pandemic, everyone does online fitness, and there are again many people out there selling stuff that isn't what I do, and so there's a big marketplace which doesn't a problem. I never worried about competition. It's just about getting my messaging out there, and there's always be horses for courses. But a friend of mine said, "Yeah, I can get a free thing off YouTube." Okay, go do that. Yeah, or I can get a program specific to me for X pounds. Okay, great. Go do that. See how it works. Then come back to me. Because what I do is very bespoke.
Mm-hmm.
I know bespoke is a word that's kind of overused these days, and it doesn't hold that weight that it should. But it's personalised. I will work with someone completely based on them, their goals, the equipment they've got available to them, the time parameters, how old they are, all these tangibles that are key. Any injuries that they've got, any modifications we need to make, and same as if they were working in here with me and they came up against a barrier to them being able to make progress, then we change things. It's use the same software whether they're in here with me or whether they're in Bermuda or Australia, where you are.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter where they are in the world. I use the same software to create programs for my clients, and so it's important to me that they feel that they can talk to me, we can communicate, and it's not an autocracy like a lot of personal trainers say, do it my way, or not at all. Well, no, we've got to, going back to what I said, you said earlier about enjoyment, it's key. And you've got to be able to enjoy what you're doing. And the challenge of being able to lift weights or get better or whatever it is, whatever your challenge is, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. So if the trainer's telling you, right, you've got to squat, but you've got knee problem, you've got an issue there, right? And you're not going to enjoy it. You're probably making it worse. So let's find a workaround. And so going back to the question, what's been the biggest frustration? It's getting that messaging out there. Thank you for having me on, because it helps me get that messaging out there. But it's very much about there are many different ways to skin a cat, if I'm allowed to say that in 2025. But
Yeah.
it's about finding the right person for you and finding the right method for you. Some people are great, they get a free program off YouTube and follow that, great. But if they've got specific issues or specific time constraints or whatever, then they want the accountability, then having a coach in your corner is
Oh, 100%. I've done, bro scienced it myself, and later in life when, I had more resources behind me, have also used a coach very similarly to you, because I mean that's how I operate as well, when I work. That's my, almost one to one. You described our approach towards app and software development, right? Stark difference is that, you know, learn, apply, and then adjust, right? Letting the appropriate amount of time and having a productive feedback loop. So when you're doing something on your own, you are the only source of feedback, right? You might like some people are super dedicated and they can do that, right? But how much else are they doing in their lives, right? Like if I had 3 hours a day to dedicate to my health in that aspect, if I know, like I want to blow out my arms, I want legs the size of tree trunks, and I had 3 hours a day to do it, I probably could by myself. But reality is these like that's not a normal person situation, right? That feedback loop, even if you are recording yourself and watching it back, or in a mirror or whatever, there's not an impartial judge, right? And then there's the patience element of like, have you actually given something enough time to then make an educated decision on what the adjustments need to be, whether it be in the kitchen or on the floor or in your cardio, whatever it may be. And there's so many elements that you have to actively learn and then remember that you've learned those things, right? Because you can forget what you've learned 6 weeks ago.
yeah,
So to have that support system taking care of all of that bandwidth, right? Like, I mean, I saw the best results I've seen in my life, right? And I trained with that coach for about 2.5 to 3 years, to the point where then I was empowered enough to sort of carry it on myself. And now we check in, a couple times a year and more have a powwow, like a professional powwow rather than, active coaching. But, that's a long time to learn something. People get degrees in those kinds of times. So,
absolutely.
yeah, I learned a lot through that experience. And you mentioned software as well. Like, what kind of software do you use? Is it something you've built yourself, or?
No, I use a software called PT Distinction. It's designed purely for personal trainers. It's a white label software that it's great because I can brand it up myself. I can stick my own exercises in. I can build programs through it how I want, and there's a messaging service within the app as well. So it's great because, as you say, we all have a certain amount of bandwidth, a certain amount of headspace. There's no and a skill level. I don't have any of those three things to be able to build an app. So for me to be able to
Yeah.
get a white label app and then adapt it to how I want it was brilliant, and it's been an absolute godsend for me because it allows me to build programs for whoever the client is, but also it's, as I say, the same software, whether software process and hopefully outcomes, whether you're in here with me or on the other side of the world. The system's the same. So yeah, and
Yeah.
I loved what you said about
Amazing.
working with a trainer and a coach for 3 years and then going off on your own. That's awesome. That's the way it should be, because they should have imparted enough knowledge in you in that time and confidence, but you still check in. So there's always that sort of mentorship going on. But it's, you say, it's more of a powwow, just a professional chat about what you're doing and where you can take yourself, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it is learning like the approach to what I want, right? Like, because a lot of, dude, I went up to him, I reckon I was 26, something like that. And, hey, how you going? A bit about us. And then he was like, so why we here kind of thing. And I was like, bro, I want to muscle a baseball over the fence in 6 months. Like, I understand now how stupid that would have sounded.
But it was a goal. It was a tangible
But
goal.
you know
It
what,
was a,
right? Like, and sort of like, and I want you to, make me whatever I need to be to do that thing. And how, my expectations were like, pain and gain, muscle montage, come mid-season, I've smacked one over the fence. Um, no, no, that didn't happen. I still haven't hit one over the fence. you know, which is fine. Like, the thing is, I actually have learned a lot more about batting in general. Myself as a player, like, I'm simply not that guy. I'm, you know, 5-0. It takes me a lot of effort to get any strength, well, not strength, but, the right things I need in my lower body to actually have a good swing. Like, should just put the ball in play, get on base, and steal a couple bags. Like, that's my job. you know?
yeah, but
Um,
it's also about power transfer through with the legs up through the core as you rotate, and that's why you saying 5 foot nothing. Well, some of the best cricketers, and cricket being one of the sports I know. I do watch a bit of baseball, but cricket's one of the sports, and some of the best
mm,
batsmen are short. It doesn't matter what size they are. And currently, you look at England cricketer Ben Duckett. He's a little guy, but boy is he powerful
mm,
because it's the timing and the power transfer.
correct.
So
And I'm not developed enough in my swing yet to actually, to effectively be a power hitter.
yeah,
you know, and I'm not doing my team a service by trying to put one over the fence every time I go out to bat. I'm just gonna
sure.
get out over and over and over. So, yeah, I do a lot of swinging at training, because that's the point of training, But yeah, we sort of chipped away at the mechanics, like I wasn't doing as much sort of pain again that I thought I was gonna be doing. There was a lot of like shoulder work. There was a lot of knees, hips, explosive motions, jumping. And then there
Mhm.
was the strength element to it as well. But it was a very different approach to training that I'd never taken before. Like,
Yeah.
up until that point, most of my gym work was like get as muscular as possible, you know.
Well, you were a young guy,
Don't
of
worry
course it
about
is.
being able to touch your toes. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so it was cool. And then, like over time, he sort of trained me to think how I needed to think for myself. He actually works with a lot of athletes as well, similar to you. Um, and yeah,
So I
it's
mean,
very
yeah,
cool. I love that sort of approach.
yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? It's about finding the right approach for you, for your sport, and two of my clients right now, they're ultimate frisbee players.
Yep.
Players, is that the right word? They play ultimate frisbee. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what the collective
yeah,
noun is
yeah.
for
I think
ultimate
they're
frisbee
players.
guys, um, but yeah,
Yeah.
they and it's all, yeah, a lot of what you just described is that the rotation. It's about a lot of shoulders, a lot of leg work, because again, it's about the power transfer through, you know, getting that frisbee to chip. But also they've got to do a lot of running around on the pitch. So it's again,
Mm,
you playing baseball, I'd imagine there's a lot of power work on the sprint between the bases. Get that hit and go,
yep.
and be able to change direction as well, because
Yeah.
you're stealing
And
the base and
the
now got to get
turn.
back. Yeah. So there's a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
the agility
The
work as well.
turning. There's so much turning. All in one direction too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, very interesting. When to take a round and when to just barrel straight. Those are two very distinct decisions in baseball, and you have to approach them differently, or there's going to be a problem. Either a collision, or you're going to make a mistake and look really silly when you get thrown out. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If we dial back to some of that marketing element that you were talking about, have you have you done a bit of like tinkering and testing with audiences and platforms and things like that
Not as much as
um,
I should
to
have.
sort of validate some of those concerns?
Yeah, not as much as I should have. I do a lot of face-to-face networking because, again, people by people, and that's my tried and trusted. But yeah, I do a lot of in-person networking, whether that's in near me here in near Windsor and Maidenhead, or up in Manchester. I go up to Manchester once a month and do an in-person networking there, and get clients from the northwest of England that way, online clients. But again, having the headspace and the wherewithal and the time to then experiment with TO structures and other things. And yeah, I'm building a trusted group of people that I'm starting to talk to now about that kind of stuff. But again, it is about being secure in what I have to deliver first. And that's it's a bit of procrastination on my part, I know it is, because on one of your questions, in prep for this, is best piece of advice that you've ever received when trying to build something new. Well, it's always good is better than perfect, but the there's always a bit of perfectionism in me that says, just be sure, just what I got to do is
Yeah.
overcome that in my own head, and get out of my comfort zone and actually then go about marketing this properly through
Mm.
online channels.
So I guess yeah, like think I have very much the same tendencies. There's like like some weird like fear of looking or sounding a bit silly or not getting it immaculate the first time, or when we're rolling out new software or new features, I'm like, oh, but have I thought of everything? What about this incredibly 1% situation, or you know and I actually fall back to like literally myself. I'm like, Shuj, what would you tell your client to do? Like, you know, and I have to check myself and be like, dude, like you're being silly. Just roll it out. It's never going to be perfect. We know that, you know. Part of software is iteration. You know,
Absolutely.
you ship it, you get a feedback loop. You
Yeah.
adjust things, feedback, adjust. And those 1% situations are always going to occur. And as developer, it's part of my job to assess, okay, is that 1%, like, who actually is that? Is that somebody I'm serving, or is it somebody who is not choosing one of our products because of this one thing? And is it actually worth investing in that market, if you know what I mean. Like,
Absolutely. And that's
um,
something that I'm
and yeah,
battling against. Is it worth the investment? You know, because like in any industry, but in the fitness industry, in the marketing industry, there seems to be a lot of charlatans out. SEO, it's this great, fantastic thing. Who really knows? In my head, there's a skeptic in me going, who really knows what the algorithms are and everything else? You know, that it's now I, I'm I've discovered, well, through my in-person networking, and that's where it leads. It's discovered people that I can trust, and I trust. Those are two key elements. Again, same as in here, people are
mm,
on people with fitness. They've got to like and trust the coach, right? So the SEO side of things and the marketing side of things, I've got to like and trust them before I go, rather than just these random. I'm sure you get them as well. Umpteen emails a day coming and going, yeah, we'll build the funnel for you for free. No, okay, no one goes
yeah,
anything for free. So yeah, so
yeah, man. Like, I actually take a lot of time to get to know a potential client before I've actually expressed interest in working with them, right? Not to say like I won't or whatever, like, but if someone comes to us with an idea or, hey, I want to take my business into the app stores, the whole website thing is a bit, you know,
yeah,
it's not doing that well. We want to get in, like I actually take a fair bit of time before making a pitch, for that same reason. Like
yeah,
our company makes a commitment to working with everyone we work with for years, right? And we want to make sure that that experience is actually positive and productive, and prosperous for both parties, right? To the point where, the first year is always the toughest, right? The first probably month, teething issues, adjustment, new system. We actually have to spend more time forcing these people to use the system we built rather than stay comfortable with the nonsense they were using before. Like, guys, that's rubbish. That's why we did this in the first place. Cut it off, you know?
yeah.
And then the supporting through that transition, right? That's usually another couple of weeks of like, oh, this doesn't work exactly how I want it to. Okay, let's consider that. Maybe make an adjustment, maybe not, depending. It's not
Hmm.
always, like, you're
Yeah,
not always going to pull the RDLs out. Like, sometimes just do it for a couple more weeks, bro, and then we'll see.
that's
So,
exactly it. You're working with people. You're working and you're tuning what they want into how you work, and so that's this element of coaching going on your end as well, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then, then after about 3 months, they're in the system, they've got it. But that's also the most dangerous point because that's when the ideas start, right? Oh, but what if we could do this? Oh, but what about like, dude, I have this crazy idea, like, and you know, navigating that sort of 3 to 6 month mark can be really delicate. Because every idea is great on paper, right? But the implementation of it, like we keep things super simple, right? One function, one, you know, you want to offer subscriptions, dude, have an entry level and have a premium option, maybe a super premium, but don't expect anyone to really buy that. It's just there for a comparison, right? So why do we need a fourth? Like, the inclusions are cool, but you've got people buying. Why
Yeah,
are we introducing a complication? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
and
And that's just reminded me of a story of if you're selling anything, always only give two options. And there's a famous story of the guy, I can't remember where he was, somewhere in the States, who became very rich because he sold shoes. And he would always go, right, you want this? well, have a look at this one. And then people go, yeah, and then, can I have a look at those ones over there? And so he'd go, which one am I taking away before I bring that? And so people would always only have two options to choose from. And that made their decision-making process a lot easier. You know, if you, paralysis by analysis, you give, I don't know if you've ever been to the States, but you go to a restaurant in the States and the menu is just like, even, you know, eggs, something as simple as eggs, there's 50 different ways to have your eggs. I can't make a decision on that.
And I promise you chat to the chef, he makes the same three things all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, keep it simple is key, and then just offering people, they, you know, people have ideas, but yeah, great. We're working towards them.
And
at the moment your hammies are still recovering. So yeah, just keep it simple. And
sometimes it's valid, right? Sometimes you gotta listen and take it on board, but you know, like part of our role there is to also challenge the idea, right?
Yeah.
And
so that's where the
challenge
question comes in. That's where the question comes in, like we were talking about earlier. How impact will that have if you introduce the adoption? What impact will that have for you and your software or whatever your product? Same as in here, I want to get healthy. Well, what will that mean? How does that look to you? But also, how will that mean to you? So,
for sure. And so, if you had unlimited time or money, what would already be done in terms of your business or your marketing? Or
I'd have the trust in place to get those marketing systems in place. Yeah, that would already be up and running, and online clients would be able to, one, understand my message, and then find me and use me because of that consistent messaging about, you know, health and well-being rather than a quick hack. Yeah. So the longevity.
Yeah.
If I had unlimited time and money, that would already be done. I'd have those marketing and sales things in place. But like any small business owner, you wear many hats, right? So it's having that one. Because the other questions that you asked me, what's the problem you're trying to solve? And I wrote down time. Time is. Because I've got a family, I'm running a business, well I'm running two businesses actually because I also run a business networking group. It's just having time, mental bandwidth, and trying to fit everything else in life. So so I read that question, then saw the next one, the ones further down that said, if you had unlimited time and money, yay, I'd already answered that question.
Amazing. That being said, what would you say is next? Like immediate, what is the next thing that you want to implement?
The next thing I want to implement is to have conversations with those people I was talking about earlier, so the SEO, the marketing people that I found and now I trust. It's taken a couple of years chatting to them before I can building those relationships, but now I feel secure, and I've spoken to other people who have used them as well, and know that they're not just blowing smoke. They have proven track records. So that's key. So that next milestone after that is to have 25 purely online clients, no matter where they are in the world. That might not sound like a huge milestone, but when you're operating at 5, 10, 25 is a nice big jump. Because that will then allow for me freedom, a little bit more freedom from here, because I love what I do. I don't love the 5:30 a.m. starts and the 8:30 p.m. finishes. I like to have a little bit of a life as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, health and fitness, right? It's one of those few industries where your time actually sucks, because a lot of the one-to-one stuff is before people go to work, lunch breaks, and after work, right? And you've just got these two dead zones in the middle where your kids are probably in school or whatever, and your partner's probably at work, unless they're also in the industry. You know, it's a very tricky space in terms of the timings, right?
Yeah, well, it is, but also then it allows me to, one, walk the dog and be with my dog, which is important, but
Mm.
also so I get out and I get exercise other than strength work. I get, which again is key. So I've got an excuse. I have a built-in excuse. Having a black Labrador, I've got to go for at least 45 minutes to an hour walk every day, which is
Yeah.
cool. So I've got a built-in excuse to move rather than just doing strength and lifting stuff. Um, but also it
Mm.
allows me time to prep some great meals. So I do most of the cooking for the family. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yes, the early mornings and the late evenings are a bit
Mm.
of a bind and a bit of a tie, but it allows me to do other things as well as all the admin and things that you need to
Mm.
do in and around the businesses, right? So there is dead space, which I'm kind of grateful for because it allows me time to do other things that need to get done. But when
Amazing.
you're selling, when
Um,
you're selling hours for money, then yeah, that's the nature of the beast. And I'm not complaining about it, but having
mm.
25 online clients would allow a little bit of freedom to rein
Yeah.
back on those extreme time limits.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of support do you think would accelerate things the most in that direction?
What I wrote down was getting over my brain and having the courage to do, and but having support to do that, like having a coach, is key. So having a marketing coach who I think I've found, and having somebody who I can bounce ideas off, and that's everybody needs a coach in some degree in various aspects of their life, or they can hand over stuff too. So with my accounts and my tax, I go to my accountant. I thought I could do marketing on my own, but obviously not. Yeah, I'm good at the face-to-face stuff, and good at, I say, finding clients for in person has never been a problem. It's the online side of things, and I want to grow that side of the business. So it's taken a little bit of time, but having a marketing coach, if you like, or someone I can go to, and that's work in progress. I think I found them. I've just got to start having proper in-depth conversations and paying them for their work, actually, rather than just stealing their ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I'll
the
give you a
situation.
secret. A lot of marketing is just, it is literally theft. Like what we do as marketers. You're like, oh, that works for someone else. I'm gonna work it for me.
Yeah,
That's
but as people
literally
have
what they do.
absolutely, but as people trust me to help them with their fitness, I'm going to trust somebody to help me with my marketing. So whether they steal it and make it work for me,
Oh
that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, exactly. It's the thing is working for you. That's
yeah,
the the difference between, you know, those guys who send you the emails about building you a funnel that pays or you don't pay. And the people who will actually help you get from where you are to where you want to be is that, you know, they'll look at, okay, what are 10 or 15 people who are already there? What are they doing? How do we take David's story and brand and ethos and apply it in that context so that David can also be where they are? You know, like the thing is, no marketer is actually shy about it, right? I work with a bunch of marketing people. And they're savage. They're really good at what they do, right? But literally all we do all day in these chats and groups and conversations is like, hey guys, I did this thing. It was sick. This was the process. Now you go do it. You know, and that's what we do. We're just like, cool, great idea, bro. Yoink. And you know, everyone's totally supportive of it because you want everyone to win, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it. And then, yeah, it's not about taking over the world for me. I don't want to be,
Mm,
you know, one of those trainers that's got thousands of clients because then I can't do what I do best, which is have that personal touch. I want to be able to
mm,
still. So that's why the goal of 25 is key for me because I think getting up anything more, if I get 50, then I can't give that personal touch to people. At 25, yeah, I can still work with people in here. I can still do but the online side of things, I can give that time, energy, effort, and people will pay for that accountability.
mm. Absolutely.
that care. And one of the things that made me smile at an in-person networking meeting up in Manchester, actually, and this was talking to a marketer, 20-something marketer, and he said, "What's your USP?" I said, I thought about it, and I went back to her. I said, "Yeah, am I allowed to swear? Am I allowed to say it?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I said, "Well, I give
Yeah,
a
yeah,
shit."
go for it, man.
Basically, I just went, "I give a shit." He went, "No, that's not a USP." I said, "Yeah, it is. My clients think it is. That's why they stick with me. I care."
Mm,
Um, and he was adamant that that was not a USP. I was adamant that it
dude,
was.
I
So
I
in
love
my
that.
head,
Yeah.
it's very much my USP. And if I get more than 25 online clients, I don't think that I could give a shit about every single one of them. So that's why
Mm,
I've said 25.
yeah. That's in our ethos. Like we've got a little, playbook whenever we approach a problem or a client comes to us with something or, whatever it may be, even on a sales call. We have this little thing that we always refer back to. And give a shit is it's polite compared to what, the language we use. But that's that, like, we actually revolve around that whole thing. Like, I've been to like two clients' weddings. I had like five at my wedding. That's like, we
Yeah.
take those things to their natural extremes, I guess.
Hmm.
Because that's what we believe in. I grew up in service. Um, Started at a fish and chip shop, restaurants, nightclubs, fine dining, you name it. So that's the only way I actually know how to deliver value, right? Is from a point of service. Which means well, we have to care more about the people that we're helping than sometimes they do themselves, right? Um, because when they're on the inside, they can get caught up in the little things, you know. Um, and sometimes more concerned about whatever it may be, right, in the daily life than they are about the things that'll actually move the needle for them. And it's part of our, transaction, I guess. We have to do those things on their behalf sometimes because we give a shit, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So you've already hit me with one of the lightning round questions. So we'll jump into the second one, which is there any advice you'd give someone who's starting out with an idea or possibly in one of those burnout modes that you were in, 10, 12 years ago, but they're not sure where to begin?
Yeah, simple. Same as good is better than perfect. It's just begin. Just do it. So I handed my notice in from teaching. I had the idea I might want to do personal training, but it wasn't. It was still a bit cloudy. But I
Mm,
just handed my notice in and went, I've got to change. I've got to do something different. And then once I'd done that, then it allowed me to the idea that personal training, strength and conditioning, all that sort of stuff would that then became more solid, and I could then focus on that because by making the decision to just begin, that allowed everything else to follow. So yeah, if you're starting out, we can make pretty pictures, we can do lots of planning, but yeah, there's a little phrase I love, which is action cures fear. And one of the things people say, oh, I'm not sure if I could lift that. Oh, go on, give it a go. I'll make sure your form's right. You're not going to damage yourself. So what's the best thing that can happen? You lift it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You don't manage to lift it. But in lifting it, you might be like, wow, it's awesome. I can actually do this stuff. So yeah, just action
yeah,
cures fear. So yeah, just that's the piece of advice I'd give. Start.
yeah,
Just begin.
I love that because either something will change or it won't,
Yeah,
but you won't know either way until you do something about it, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. And David, where can people find out more about your work?
On my website, which is powerofonefitness.com, or through my social media channels, which again, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, Power of One Fitness on Facebook, and I'm at Power of One Fit on Instagram. I've got to check that one out. I can't remember. I should know these off by heart, but I did email them through to you, so hopefully, they can
Yeah,
appear
your
on the thing. And there's LinkedIn as
Power
well.
of One Fitness on Instagram.
Okay, the Facebook one that's Power of One Fit.
Yeah,
There's a guy.
I'll link them all
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
in the
There's
episodes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, and I also have a newsletter which goes out weekly with my take on all things health and fitness. It's about a piece of A4 long. Comes out. It's not a massive read. It's a 3, 4 minute read on all things health and fitness related, and so different subjects each week. But that's free, and that's if you go to my website. One thing that pops up is sign up for my newsletter. So then you can figure out what kind of character I am as well. What makes me tick.
Amazing. Make sure to check that out. David, thanks so much for your time. It's been wonderful getting to know you. I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. And thanks everyone who tuned in for this one. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you so much.